Welcome to This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. This podcast, we focus on economic development of the River City and in our region. And so today's topic is pretty cool. Small business opportunities and the impact of small business in Northeast Florida. Dr. Carlton Robinson from the Jacksonville Chamber is with us, and then Gregory Grant from the City of Jacksonville and the Procurement Division. And Gregory, if you'd start with me, JSEB Administrator. So this is the opportunity to explain JSEB, the Jacksonville Small Emerging Business Program, and then you said there's a transformative focus here. Tell us about it.
Absolutely, and thank you for that introduction. So the JSEB program is really designed to help our small businesses gain contract opportunities.
Okay.
And so the transformative focus is focused on 4 areas: education, community engagement, access to capital, which is a big one in the small business community, and also diversification and contract opportunities. So in those 4 different veins, we're working with wonderful agencies like Carlton Robinson's agency and other agencies around the city in the education component, also in the community engagement component also too. We want to make sure our small businesses are well involved with the community as well, and we can hear their voices and make sure that we're providing the resources they need.
So this is through City of Jacksonville and Carlton Robinson, Jack's Chamber, not a city organization, but you've got all these business leaders that come together with the mind of helping businesses succeed. Tell us about what you're doing, and I've known you over the years because of that focus on entrepreneurs, and you said there's kind of a new focus for you, open innovation.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the first thing that we have to do in terms of our community is realize that it's led by entrepreneurs and small business owners. Our agency, the city, the university, higher learning, each of us, we're just catalysts, right? And we're helping to support those small businesses and innovators. So that's the first thing. Any type of progress is really going to be led by entrepreneurs. So we have to help give them the tools and opportunities to move forward. And our approach at the Chamber has evolved over the last 10 years. In most areas, Chamber and entrepreneurship are not ever used in the same sentence. We've been lucky here in Northeast Florida that entrepreneurs have given us a chance to work with them. And we've delivered value through programs like Jack's Bridges, which is entering its 10th year, and then our Jacksonville Women's Business Center, which will be celebrating its 20th year. So we have, good execution and programs that we have to offer, and it's allowed us to work with some amazing agencies, some amazing corporations, and I can talk more about that.
So I'm curious, this is the which comes first, chicken or the egg kind of thing. So do we need small business ideas, entrepreneurs to get training here before they can come where JSEB helps them connect with contracts, or where does that start? And how do these efforts even mesh together?
I can tell you, for us on the education side, I found that there is a big need for our small businesses to understand the contracting space, to understand how procurement works, and to really just get engaged with the education side of it. Oftentimes as entrepreneurs, it's easy to execute before you educate, and then you kind of get that on-the-job experience. What I'm finding with working with agencies is that we're now able to educate first, which then makes them more sustainable on contracts and perform much better.
Yeah, Carlton, what's your view on that?
I think we have a couple different perspectives, and this is where we've adopted this open innovation approach. If we're taking a look at innovation and entrepreneurship as a whole, our large enterprises, they typically have problems in search of solutions. Our small business owners and entrepreneurs have these solutions and they're in search of problems. And so what we need in the middle is very reputable organizations like the city, the chamber, the university to help facilitate those connections. So at the Chamber, we've become a trusted partner with a lot of our members. We work with them to identify use cases. So in short, sometimes it's the idea and other times it's the problem. And we just have to find a way to kind of marry the two, throughout our community.
And I'd love to hear from both of you on this, but how would you explain to folks who maybe, they're not an entrepreneur, they might work in a small business, but they're not a small business person. What's the impact of local economy from what happens in small business?
You want to start, or you want to let me?
You can
okay,
start it,
I'll start. So, first, throughout the Northeast Florida region, we have well over 100,000 small businesses.
Wow.
If we look at the 6 or 7 county region. So that's number one. We do have about 10 to 12% of those are what we call stage 2 businesses. That means that they employ 10 to 99 employees.
Okay.
And they account for about 35% of all employment. So those businesses that are able to get to that 10 to 99 threshold account for more than a third of all employment in Northeast Florida. And we could talk about what size of business in terms of whether it be 500,000 in revenue up to mid-market around 50 million in revenue. But that's a very sweet spot for Northeast Florida. We've done extremely well in that area. And so I think in terms of impact, what we should take a look at is how many businesses can we get to that next threshold, because that's when they become employers.
Yeah. What's the impact to your view?
Yeah, I totally agree. I have a little bit different view from the perspective of the necessity of small businesses. And I'm going to use a sandwich approach here, actually, like a hamburger, right? So you have the hamburger approach. I love hamburgers. So here's the thing. If you look at, you have your 2 buns and you have the meat in the middle. So at the top, we have our large corporations. As Dr. Carlton said, they really need some assistance and work with small businesses. But then on the bottom, we also have our Jacksonville citizens. In the middle, we have our small businesses. So we have to support those small businesses because they are the meat of what make our economy what it is.
So one of the things, Gregor, is we get to know each other. It's the first time we get to meet guys today. But maybe explain for me the Equal Business Opportunity Office that's supporting the mayor's vision here for small business in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. Recently, we just had our very first inaugural Equal Business Opportunity Forum, which was well attended, which tells me that the small business community...
There's a desire for it?
It was really, really huge. And what the Equal Business Opportunity is designed to do is, number one, support the mayor's vision of making Jacksonville the small business capital of the Southeast. But we want to also be able to hear from the small business community because, yes, we, as leaders, we have our take on it and how we think things should be. But when we hear directly from the voices of the small business community, we're now creating that communication piece where we're listening to them, we're making sure that we're giving them the tools they need to be successful. And really, that's one of the biggest top priorities of the Equal Business Opportunity Office.
Does that line up with some of what you guys are doing too? Carlton, one of the things I know about you are a tremendous listener because it usually starts with you asking a really important question. And I think that can be that can help move the needle, especially for entrepreneurs, because so many small businesses say, I've got this great idea, and like you were talking about, I'm going to deploy it this way, and then you find out, oh, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that go into being successful that I didn't know about or didn't realize I wasn't very good at, or those sorts of things.
I would say, number one, we have to make sure that we keep entrepreneurship and being a small business owner just exciting. Like there's a certain level of excitement that we should have when we're engaging with them, because when someone has that idea, we want to keep the idea going. And so typically, what are some things we need to help people get traction? And one, I think for us throughout our programs is helping each and every entrepreneur become a better communicator. What's their value proposition? What's the problem they're solving? Who has that problem? And are those people available? Like those are things that we can have some conversations and exercises about. We can really bring groups of entrepreneurs together where they can engage each other, exchange ideas, share ideas. I don't think we do enough of that. If we had 100 sessions a week, that still wouldn't be enough. I think the more we can get entrepreneurs together and they can see that they're challenged with very similar problems, they just need that energy to keep going. That's something that we can do as a community just to keep people going to that next stage. And we've got great partners throughout the region. And I think each partner has a different role that we have to do a better job of communicating. So we have some partners that are great, like us, we're primarily programming to help develop assets so they can then go to counselors that may be at the SBDC, at UNF, or with SCORE. And obviously explaining what those acronyms are important, but that's just one example of how our ecosystem can work in order to help small business overall.
And I'm thinking about this just a few weeks ago here. We know that there's a big project at the Shipyards coming. It's going to get, and I know the Jaguars, Iguana Investments, Shad Khan's vision for Four Seasons and other things in that Shipyards area. Gregory, I'm bringing it up because I know JSEB kind of partnered there and said, hey, we want to help connect small businesses to opportunities. I didn't think there was any guarantee that you're going to get a job if you come to this event. But maybe explain that because there's even a certain threshold that I think would qualify as small business for what they're trying to do there, right? 12 million and below or something like that.
Yeah, there is a qualifier of a rolling $12 million for gross receipts in a business to qualify. However, when it comes to the shipyard project, number one, kudos to PCL and Jaguars for working with the JSEB program. We are in negotiations and still speaking about how those projects are going to work out and JSEB's participation in those projects. And so it's a very exciting time for Jacksonville when it comes to those types of relationships. And one of the things that kind of Dr. Robinson stated was the preparation piece, making sure they have all the assets needed to perform. And this is why this relationship is really important, because as they have those assets to perform, when they come to the JSEB program, we can get them certified more swiftly and then expose them to opportunities like the Shipyards.
Yeah, and you touched on this briefly earlier in the conversation, but is there a vehicle for connecting small businesses to the funding that they might need? I mean, it's one thing to have a great idea, hey, I want to deliver this product, but sometimes there's I need somebody to back me financially to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the benefits of JSEB is we have the access to capital program, and the capital is collateralized with the contract. So that's one of the programs that we have right now, benefit of being JSEB certified. We are working on some additional access to capital programs right now through the Mayor's Task Force as we speak. And so hopefully if those things are approved, then we'll be able to offer access to capital to the small businesses at large.
Have you seen that? Is that a barrier sometimes for small businesses getting going?
I think a bigger barrier has to do with preparing for access to capital, right? So there's access to capital, but preparing for it. Greg and I are working on a couple things. We've run some pilots on really helping to identify ecosystems. So I think one of the things we have to really communicate to aspiring entrepreneurs and existing is identifying ecosystems and the entry points to them. So like for us at the Chamber of Commerce, we have a very unique ecosystem that allows us to engage with hundreds of business owners every single month. So we have entry points, and then we have relationships that lead to additional entry points. So one recommendation I would have for any entrepreneur, aspiring or existing, is to identify the ecosystems that are associated with the access to capital. There are some programs, and we have some relationships where we're able to get requirements, educate on those requirements, create a pool, and this is more like a vetting mechanism, within our programs. And then once the opportunities are available, we're able to turn over that entire group to whatever agency we have an established relationship with. And that's more of our open innovation model, where we work with both sides, the larger enterprises and the small. But it's really about identifying the ecosystem, the entry points, educating on that, and then a trusted partner delivering, hopefully, a vetted pool of entrepreneurs.
Maybe we'll wrap up here, but how do you feel about the future of small businesses in our region, this 6-county area or what have you? It seems like you're pretty positive on this.
I'm very optimistic about the growth. We have a lot of things happening here in Jacksonville. We have the local business participation bill that is happening, which is increasing local business participation to 40% versus JSEP's 20%. So that's working. So I'm just very optimistic about the opportunities that are being available for small businesses.
Yeah, are you excited about what's happening in the
I'm
community?
super excited. You know, with our Jax USA partnership, our strategic plan, the title of it is The Future is Now. So we're excited about the opportunities that are here. And I think from the perspective of innovation, entrepreneurship, and small business, what we're seeing is we have a tremendous amount of talent here in Jacksonville. We just need to connect the talent to the opportunities. And the more agencies, whether it's the city, whether it's the Jaguars, whether it's the chamber, whether it's a lot of different industries, the opportunity is there for us to be amazing and to help the mayor meet, her goal of Jacksonville being one of the small business capitals in the U.S.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I enjoy hearing you talk about and hearing that excitement. And yeah, it seems like it comes down to we got to communicate and connect. Yes. If you want to use that in your marketing, that's fine.
Okay.
You're already doing it. Dr. Carlton Robinson from Jax Chamber, Gregory Grant from the city of Jacksonville. I really appreciate getting to visit with you. And for those of you listening or watching, we are constantly working to bring you more interviews like this focused on economic growth in our region. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition.